All right, welcome back to Rustaholic. I'm Patrick, and we're still working on my 1963 Chevrolet Corvair. In this episode, we're going to try to finalize sealing up the engine itself. We still have to adjust all the lash here so we can put the valve covers on, and then we have to handle the front seal that's behind the bell housing. Hopefully we'll get all of that done today, and then the engine itself should be sealed. So very excited about that. Would love to get to that level, so let's just get started. I've decided to go ahead and adjust the lash on all the rockers, and there's a certain procedure that it shows in the book, and I highly recommend you use it. That being said, I'm not, because it's confusing. But the way that I did it, or have been doing it on all my other V8s, and I've done it on multiple cars, at least 3 or 4 at this point, and I get awesome results. I learned it on YouTube. And I will try to put the link, I haven't watched it in a while, but I'll put the link for it in this channel. And basically, the way that he explained it, without all the technical jargon, is you start with everything loose. And just meaning that you can take all of the push rods and you can move them by hand. Every single one of them is totally loose. Then go through and tighten them all up just until you can barely not move them, or actually you still want to be able to move them, but they're going to be tight. Once you've done that, then you take you turn the crank a quarter turn, and then you do that all over again. You look for anything loose. If it's tight, you ignore it. If it's loose, you tighten it up until it's just barely spinnable, and then you do another quarter turn. You do it again, another quarter turn, and you do it again, another quarter turn, and you do it again. And you actually do this until you've done it at least 2 full rotations. And after you've done that, all of the lash in all of the cylinders and the rockers should be right where it needs to be for each one of them. And then at the end, when they're all level, then you go through and you do your final turn, and that could be anywhere from half a turn, 3/4, or in the Corvair manual, it asks for a full turn. So I'll probably go full turn, we'll see. But just wanted to lay out the procedure that I'm going to be using for this. Don't follow it until you see the final episode. I'm saying, like, maybe this doesn't work at all for some reason for a flat 6, but it should work for V6s, V8s, and really anything with a push rod, I would imagine. But that's easier for me to understand, so I'm going to do it that way, and we'll just see how it works out. All right. So first up, just going to go through and tighten each one of these until I can just barely spin it. You can see it's just a little micro. I'm not tightening it down crazy. It's like 1/8 of a turn, at a time. Just to make sure you don't overdo it. And if you do overdo it, back it out. Yeah, that's fine. That one's really loose. And even if it doesn't make sense on the first run, as you start spinning it, some of these are going to get loose again, and you'll have to retighten it, and it will all come together. All right, I'm going to press on with this, and then I'll catch up with you when I get to the next step. All right, I messed up. I accidentally filmed that whole last part in time lapse. so you didn't get to hear anything. But what I said was, at the end of the day, all the studs, they look pretty much the same, which is awesome. I feel like they have some consistency there. I've never had any issues with this method. What I really like about it is if something happens in the middle, you can step away from it and come back without any issues, because all you really care about is it loose or not, and how many rotations have you done. And you can do as many rotations as you want until everything is no longer loose. So that's pretty good. But I think you saw in the fast motion there, I went ahead and did one full turn on each of these to finish it up. So that should be it for the lash. We should be good. Of course, we'll know when we go to start it up, but there shouldn't be any more adjustment here. We should be good to go. So I'm calling that done. I think we can put the valve covers on and finally work on this last section here, which is replace that seal inside the bell housing. Let's do it. All right, first up, I think we're just gonna go ahead and take care of the valve covers. This one is a little bit different. It has the studs in it already, at least in 3. And then of course it has the stud where the screw won't actually move, so we'll stick that in there. But I'm gonna use some blue Loctite on that as well. Also for my valve covers, I have these blue rubber gaskets. They weren't leaking before, so I'm gonna keep using them. I have a whole new cork set that came with the kit, but I'm gonna continue using these blue ones until they start leaking, because they're glued onto that valve cover pretty good, so no sense to go through all that unless I have to. So, all right, first valve cover. Didn't clean this up at all. This is just gonna remain the same. Doesn't matter which way it goes, as far as I know. And the specs are calling for 40 to 60 foot-pounds on the valve covers. Nope, not foot-pounds. Don't do that. Inch-pounds. My gosh. You'd probably, I'm pretty sure you'd strip the aluminum at 60 foot-pounds. Don't do that. Oh, going a little bit too fast. Let's add the hold downs, you know, so it can hold it down. All right, it's in place now. Just gonna lock it down. I'm just gonna go half a turn each until we start hearing some clicks. Because inch-pounds isn't very much. Oh, there it is there. Nope, not yet. There it is there. There it is there. Last one. There it is there. All right, one down. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll finally get to the bell housing. Very exciting. Quick edit. Thank goodness there's 2 valve covers, because I may not have noticed this otherwise, but when I was doing the other one, I realized that I wasn't putting these brackets in the same way that they were. They've got a curved tip and a kind of a sharp tip. And I was doing it sharp tip, which means it expands where it's actually hitting on the valve cover, versus this, which is a little bit more narrow. And I was using the narrow before, so was everybody else. There's probably an argument for it really doesn't matter that much, but I like to try to put things back the way they were. So so I had to redo this side. So just note to self. So here's my problem right here. The bell housing butts up to the engine block and the underside of the oil pan. And my concern is, if I leave the oil pan in place, flip this over, put it on a table, basically resting on this, this leaves no room for adjustment here. If this is pushing down this way at all and I can't get this realigned, then I'm screwed. And I have to do it all over again. I have to do it all over again anyway. I really just did this in the wrong order. I should have covered this first when it was on the engine stand. And then I wouldn't have to care about my brand new gasket on the oil pan. So I messed this one up. So to recover, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the pan off and just set it to the side, flip it over, put it on the table, fix all this, pick it back up, put the pan back on when it's in the air, and then we should be all straight. So, all right, that's the plan anyway. Let's do it. Well, that took a little minute, but we got there, so that's all right. We got it on the table, we got the oil pan off, and we're ready to pull out. The flywheel's got to come out first, then we'll detach the bell housing here and take a look at that seal that's back there. And then one thing I want to note before we move forward is that these two bolts here actually have washers on them. These two bolts don't. Now that's a little bit different from the videos. I thought all four of these underneath weren't supposed to have washers because the flywheel would actually hit it. Doesn't seem to be the case here, but I'm gonna double check that myself before I reinstall it. But wanted to make a note of that before I take this thing off. All right, let's remove this flywheel. All right, usually these just pop off. Apparently that's not the case. Let's go get some leverage. This looks aggressive, but I'm gonna be gentle with it. Not getting like too crazy, but wow. What is going on? Huh. Am I missing something? This seems like it should come off easier than that. Whoa, whoa, easy, easy, easy. Oh, it moved, it moved. All right, maybe I should lock the wheels on this table. I'm okay. I'm all right. Everything's fine. The flywheel's off, so that's good. But all right, we've got 4 bolts here, and we've got 4 bolts down here. I'm gonna take all these off, and we should be able to pull this bell housing off. All right, let's do it. And these are not a 1/2 inch. All right, these are 9/16. So I'm gonna try to keep these separated. All of these up top have washers on them. These 2 have washers on them. These 2 do not.
They seem to be all the same other than washers so far. That one was really loose.
All the same screw size, just some have washers and some don't. These bottom 2, at least on mine, no washers. Oop. All right, it's off. And it's totally filthy. And it looks like whoever put the seal on last time definitely put some black in it. I will probably be doing the same, but all right, I'm gonna clean these surfaces up and get this thing back ready for install. I'll bring you back when it's time. All right. The bell housing is clean, so I'm pretty excited about it. Took me a little while. I totally degreased it as much as I could. And then once that was done, cleaned and washed, I did put it in the sandblaster for a little bit. And after doing so, I found this. Take a quick look. Inside the sealing surface, there's some like slag or something. It's really, it seems like it's maybe an error in the cast. Not sure, but that's definitely going to affect my seal. And when I pulled the old one out, it was really well gooped, and I think he may have done that, or whoever did that last time, because it was just a little bit crooked. I don't know. But I'm gonna take this out. I had a nice round concave file somewhere. I can't find it, so I'm gonna do the best I can. And I'm not trying to do anything with this surface, just kind of, oh look at that, just knock that back a little bit. So I'm gonna work on this a little bit, get this all cleaned up, and then I think we'll be ready to install. Let's see what this one does. All right, it's not perfect. But it's a lot better now. All right, I'm gonna go vacuum it up, wipe it down, and we'll be ready to install. So we have 2 things to install here. We've got the front main seal, which I believe goes like this. And then we've got the gasket itself. Little test fit here, which is going to go like that. So first thing first, let's do the the front seal first. And I am going to do a little bit of black around it, and then should just push in. All right, and then I'm just going to smooth this out around it. pull the excess a little bit because I'm not going to need all that in there. Just want to make sure there's some. Keep it off my seal. All right. Well, that didn't push in as well as the front seal did, that's for sure. But let's see if we can give it some motivation. That is not going in. Right there was the only little high spot left. Yeah, there's no way I would have got that in there with those burrs in there the way they were. As sketchy as that was, it's in there now. I'm just gonna keep watching it for a while, make sure it doesn't push itself back up, make sure it sets like that before I go any further. We'll come back in a bit. It's done. I guess we'll just pretend that that's not going to leak and move forward with our lives. Next up, we just got to put this gasket on. I'll go ahead and put some black on here. We're going to glue the gasket to the bell housing and then put the bell housing on dry. Can only go on one way. I'm gonna let that sit up for a little minute, and it looks like I'm gonna have to cut the ends off of this just a little bit, and then I think we're ready to install. One last thing, I'm definitely going to use some engine lube on the seal side and on the crank as well. Definitely don't want this blowing out the first time I rotate the engine. It's the moment, at least I've been waiting for. We're ready to install. You can see here I've got everything cleaned up. I did polish the crank a little bit and then re-greased it with some engine assembly lube. Same with the inside of the ring for the bell housing. And now we got the gasket on. It's just time to install the thing. Let's see. That seems like it. Hold on. I'm getting a thing. So before it looks like I was getting some kind of little bulge right here, but now that's been taken care of. So looks like the seal is going all the way around the crank as expected. So I think we're safe to install. First up, we'll just get all these bolts and put them in as much as we can. They're all the same size. Ones with washers go on top. Two at the very bottom without washers. Well, they don't get washers. Wait a minute. I think I was missing a bolt the whole time. I think it calls for 5, and I was missing this one. So now I only have, so now I'm missing one here, now that they're all in there. Great. All right, I gotta find another 3/8 then. By 1 1/4. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we're back, and it's not perfect, but I got a bolt. So I'm gonna put it up here at the top where it was apparently missing in the first place. So now we have a complete set. So that's something new. And hopefully we have a seal that's sealing and we can move forward. This is just my speed wrench alternative. All right, so they're calling it a flywheel or clutch housing, and it does say 20 to 30, so we'll go 25 to start. All right, that's it. Bell housing is on. Awesome. Next up is the flywheel. We just took that off a little while ago, so that's pretty exciting. Just gonna put it right back on. Hopefully it's offset so it can only go one way. And the only thing I did with this is I just cleaned up around the holes and the inside here, along with that, just to make sure it'd slide on a little bit easier. That's about it. All right, I'm gonna have to stop this from turning. I was going the wrong direction. All right, we should have it now. There we go. And it's tight already. Hello, Florida. Having a little storm right now. Might lose power. All right, but the flex plate is on, so that's something. Okay, that's it for sealing the engine. The only thing I have left is to put the oil pan back on. So I think I am gonna get it back on the engine stand. We'll put the oil pan back on, and at that point, I think we're ready to install all the tins and everything once somebody actually paints those things. But that'll be the next step. So we're getting really close to marrying all this back up to the transmission and the transaxle. So hey, that means we're getting close to putting it back in the car, which means it's close to getting this one out of the shop, which means I'm close to doing another project. That's what we're close to. So let's just keep moving. I'll get it all put together. Let's see what happens next. All right, I think we're gonna call it for this episode. We finished sealing the entire engine. For me, that's a huge accomplishment. I'm pretty excited about it. We still have some accessories to do. We can now put the tins and everything back on. We can get back to the diff and the transmission that's been leaking in the front of my shop for several weeks, months, I forget how long, but it's still leaking. So we can get that fixed, get this all back together, and finally get this Corvair back on the road. So I know I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are too. So really thank you for watching. Appreciate all the comments and support. Please enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, even if you want. It's free, I guess. I don't know. It's all really appreciated. So thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.